What's it look like, honey?
Legoland?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Guess what we're doing?
Go to Legoland?
We're staying here all weekend.
All weekend, babe.
Oh! You guys totally... Good, great, grand, bro. I'm so excited.
Just a normal day picking him up. He was taking his normal nightly bath, and then I noticed some odd bruising on his. He had some like on his shoulder or like his clavicle, and he was 4, and kids do whatever and they get hurt. But it just seemed like it was different type of bruising. I thought anyway. Took him down to his normal pediatrician, and he just said there's some odd things with his blood. He didn't specifically say leukemia or cancer or anything. We took him to CHOC, and they did more blood work. We were in the ER room, and then the doctor came in, closed the curtain and the door. So we were like, okay. And then he basically just told us what it looks like is a type of leukemia.
Before we went into the surgery, I remember they said, we have results. We know what type. It is acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And then after surgery, I remember he had his first dose of chemo, his lumbar puncture, the confirmation of the diagnosis, and then they gave us like an hour-long meeting with the doctors and the team, laying out that it was going to be 3.5 years of treatment. We kind of had our roadmap, our first roadmap of what our life was going to look like. I couldn't even say it, that my child has cancer. And it was just being completely blindsided by something you never thought would happen.
Very shocking to actually, that's really what it is. It's not just some kid on TV or something like that. It's like my kid, so.
It was crazy as an adult and as a parent, watching these chemo bags that say fatal if given intrathecally, which was just, if it was given in a way other than what was prescribed. But just you see those things, and it's these yellow things, and you have these nurses gowned up and gloved and masked and everything protected. And we're like, yes, willingly put that into our child's body. But from the beginning, this little boy showed such strength. And that was where we got Carter Strong from, because we were like, if this kid isn't going to let this keep him down, we're not going to let it get us down. So here we are, little victories every day. He tolerated treatments really well, and it showed us what being a superhero and the strength that took. And I remember we'd say, but you're so brave. And he would, I'm not brave, I'm scared. And we'd talk about how bravery is doing something even when you are scared. So. And I remember getting the phone call, and they said, good news is the chemo is working. He is at 0.000004. So that means he is not in remission. So that was like, it's so harsh. And I just remember, I'm like, it was so close. After those 10 months, it became a new phase of treatment where he was it was more outpatient. It's called maintenance. And that's where he was supposed to land for the remaining of his treatment. So he's allowed to reintegrate back into society a little bit. He was able to begin kindergarten a year after being diagnosed with cancer. And that was a day you never know is gonna happen. You don't know if he's gonna get those milestones. And I remember he'd had a routine lumbar puncture on July 3rd, and then 4th of July. And then on July 5th, I was sitting in my office and my phone rang. Lab results came back from the lumbar puncture, and he has leukemia blast cells have returned in his spinal cord. And he'd never had them in his spinal column before, so this was new. And from the beginning, this relapse protocol was much more intense. He's already been at this for 21 months, and now he has to start at day 1 with a more intense treatment regimen. So this, after relapse, it was a lot harder for him. He, from the beginning, seemed a lot sicker. So every day was just like heightened anxiety. Things were happening that had never happened before. And they're like letting us know, like, we don't like these numbers. We just think he needs to be more continuously monitored. We're gonna go ahead and call a code white, and then the whole room's gonna fill up. We just want him to go up to the ICU. I remember, because Tim had slept over that night with him, and I came in that Saturday, and I remember I'm like, he just looked worse. Carter seemed immortal up until this time, and it was the first time he seemed mortal. And kept trying to figure out what was wrong. And now I know it's like he was septic. I didn't know that. They said we're gonna take him into emergency surgery. And I remember asking one of the nurses or doctors, I was just like, any questions? I'm like, is he gonna make it? And she's like, we're trying everything we can. And that was like the first time that ever came up for him. He was gonna have to do another surgery, but this is what he found preliminarily, and but he made it. He made it through the surgery that we weren't even sure he was gonna make it through. And so, okay, he's gonna go back and you can see him. The oncologist is there, comes in her street clothes, our oncologist, and she's crying. And the ER doctor pulled us into a room and told us that there was just nothing more that they could do. So then we returned with him and stayed with him, but it was the hardest thing. And it was the most unexpected thing for our little boy.